I'm LaDonna Briggs from Sweet Potato Pie Nursery, and I'm going to finish painting Levi. I'm working on his hair. I've got a lot to do still over on this side, and a little bit up here on top. So anyways, I'm going to start painting. I'm using a number 1 liner. I'm making some small hairs. Mistake there. I just baked my head so I can rub off what I made a mistake on. Adding a lot of little tiny hairs. Trying to blend. I need to still fill in a lot back here. I want it to look realistic, so I'm trying to make some of these really light and some a little darker, but the bottom layer I'm trying to do light. I mixed mineral spirits with my paint, so I'm trying to get it more just like watercolory consistency. Like I want it really light. Levi doesn't have any eyebrows yet, but I've been working on these side hairs. After I get the light on, I kind of start going over a little dark with a little bit darker lines. But I need to get all these little tiny hairs in first. If you can see them or not. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to kind of keep this light up here, this part kind of light, so there's not as many hairs. I want it to blend. I want it to look darker here at the bottom, thicker hairs. I've already spent several hours painting on this, so it's just going to take me a little longer. I'm just trying to be really precise and really make this detailed. So I've already baked it several times, and if you're painting hair, you just have to keep building on your bottom layer. I made some little tiny hairs going this way. You can see those. feel like it needs to be a little bit darker still back here. It needs to build upwards. Sometimes if you start with your paintbrush down the bottom and go up, you can get a little bit lighter. Or sometimes if you start from the top, like I'm doing right now, if you have a lot of paint in your brush, it'll leave a lot of paint up high. And you kind of want it to blend from darker to lighter going upwards from the very bottom. At least I do. There. Just getting there. So I'm making this a little bit darker. And then lighter at the very bottom, because those are just little extra tiny hairs. Just wanting that a little darker. Can you see it's building? Okay. I want to blend these hairs in. The darker that I put, I want them to kind of blend and get lighter up here at the top. So I don't want them to just, I want it to look natural. And I will use a little bit smaller liner to get some tiny hairs in, and I already have, but this is a 1, and it does pretty good for what I'm wanting. Now I'm going to bring some of these hairs darker still up top, because the hairs, I want it to look thicker up here. So I'm just adding a bunch of little darker lines. I'm kind of leaving these straighter, but going a little bit different direction than what I have the hair pattern on the bottom. I feel like this needs to blend and look a little bit darker up a little higher. You can kind of see the effect I'm wanting to get. Oops, looks like I got a little bit, my brush, that's been baked already, so I don't know, I must have accidentally got some paint where I didn't want it. I will come back here in a little bit. I need to work on this side more so that it will look more like the other side. Here's Levi, and I need to start on his eyebrows here in a minute. All right, I'm going to start working on the swirl a little bit and adding a little bit more hair in the back. These are the darker top layers of hair. Just trying to get all this to blend. feel like I need a little bit more color right here. A little darker. This is a little different pattern than my last YouTube I did. I'm doing a little bit straighter with this hair. As you can see, not as much wave to it. Kind of less hair. Okay, now I'm going to work on this extra hair right here. It's kind of changing direction here again. But I want this to have some darker hairs on top. And I'm going to have to build on this. I may have to bake here in a minute. If you haven't painted a lot, you might want to bake more often than not, because you will lose what you can smear it and then kind of have to start over, and it's hard sometimes to remove only what you want. So sometimes I get carried away and I don't want to stop. So I have to even tell myself that, you need to bake. I want it a little bit darker up here on top, so I'm going to just a little bit more hairs up here. Just always trying to think of what a baby's hair looks like, and to get those little tiny hair look. Sometimes you can see the pattern of their hair, but you can't really. It's just kind of light and fuzzy, and that's what I want some of this to look like up front. And I'm going to bring the brow into this side. Now this side has a little more hair than this side coming down, so I need to I don't put it in the exact same place, but I just want it to kind of have that same look. Sometimes little hairs will gather together and part off, so that's kind of what I'm wanting to do here, is have it look like that. It's going to look better when it actually dries. Trying to just make this blend. And I got a little bit too much paint there. I'm going to pull some of that off. Don't want that to look too blurred. All right, I'll come back here in a little bit. and work on just a little bit more. All right, as you can see, kind of drawn the shape I want on this side, but I'm also working on this one to define it, because you don't want it to look like a straight line. You want it to look like a lot of different hairs. And I want that to flow in using my little tiny liner. It's a 10-0. All right, you can kind of see that starting to look like an eyebrow. All right, I'm going to work on this a little more. Well, maybe I can still do it. It's hard for me to work sometimes when I'm not straight on. I'm going to kind of curve this around. Now I might remove stuff if I don't like it. I just kind of paint and see if I like it. And if I probably will bake here in a few minutes this side. I'll probably remove this because I see that I don't have it quite centered right. But anyways, that's turning out to be what I want. So I'll come back in a little bit and show you more. All right, I have them pretty similar, but I need to work on darkening this side a little bit and adding a few little hairs and try to make them as symmetrical as I can. But I know eyebrows are different, so no matter how hard I try, they always do look different, so that's okay. But I'm just showing you as I go.